Hello, friends, and welcome to the Handyman Success Podcast. Our mission is to teach and inspire by sharing the stories and insights of our guests. Whether you're a prospective, new, or seasoned handyman business owner, you will learn practical business tips you can apply today and be inspired that you can reach your goals and create a better tomorrow. I'm one of your hosts, Jason Call, owner of Handyman Marketing Pros. We equip small, family-owned handyman businesses with modern websites and SEO to help grow their businesses online. I'm joined by my co-host, Alan Lee, who has built his handyman business to a point where it runs without him. He now teaches others, step by step, how to do the same thing through his Handyman Journey business coaching. You can learn more about our marketing and coaching services by scheduling a call with us on handymansuccess.net. So whether you're patching drywall, sitting in the office, or making your third run to Home Depot, we invite you to pull up a chair and sit with us on another episode of the Handyman Success Podcast. Welcome to part 2 of this interview of the Handyman Success Podcast. If you missed the first part, you can find that on whatever platform you are listening or watching this episode on. Let's jump back into it.
So I'd love to hear kind of another side of businesses. How do you market your handyman business to get new clients? Like, what does that look like throughout the years? Even when you grew to have, 8 employees to like right now, like what did you do for marketing? What do you currently do for marketing? How do you bring in clientele?
Yeah, one attribute of me is I'm overwhelmingly frugal, almost to a fault. So I really hesitate to spend money on getting customers. So luckily, in the beginning, I benefited from being born and raised here. I spent a lot of time on my website, which I do not now and never have considered myself an expert. And I think I forgot most of the things I did when I built the website. But I've got a pretty good looking website, and we show up really, really well on Google. And that's where most of our business comes from, is just free organic leads through Google. When I was first in business, I benefited from growing up here, where my mom would refer someone or someone that I knew growing up I would see and tell them I was doing a handyman business, and they'd say, "Oh, I've got some stuff for you." And it's funny looking back because I'm a lot better handyman now than I was 6 years ago. But like, it's cool that they trusted me, and I did the best I could,
Gave the kid a chance.
Yeah, that was good. That was nice of people. So yeah, I mean, but pretty much the website's huge. I don't know if I recommend doing it all yourself, and I know Jason does a ton of awesome work, so recommend Jason. If I was hiring anybody, I would hire Jason to do our website. But the website's huge. We get so much business through Google. We get so many people complimenting the website. And we're really localized. Like, I had a guy reach out to me looking for a job a couple months ago, and he pretty much led with like, "Yeah, I've just been looking at handyman companies, and like, you're the company in Loveland, right? Like, you're the guys." And I was like, "That's really cool." Like, that he just Googled, and that was his impression, that like, we are the guys in Loveland. So yeah, that's huge. And then obviously, we do a good job for our customers, so tons of repeat business and tons of referrals would be kind of secondary to the Google business.
Is there anything specifically you do to encourage referrals and repeat business, or does it naturally just happen?
Pretty natural, honestly, because I'm in a state of patient, hesitant growth. I really don't like push for referrals at all, but we get a lot of referrals just because we go above and beyond, and we do an excellent job for people.
How booked out are you right now?
I mean, February is officially always by far the slowest month of the year. We're like 2.5 weeks right now, though.
That's pretty solid for this time of year.
Yeah. This has been, like I said, we actually raised our prices to start the year. Most significant raise I've done. And this has been the busiest winter we've had. So, which is why we're at a point where I think we'll probably do a little bit of growth.
Awesome. Let's go down the pricing route here. If you don't mind, walk us through your pricing journey, as we like to call it, because it certainly is a journey. And then, it's certainly curious, like how your pricing jobs now, like what that bump was. But if you don't mind walking us through, where you started and how you've navigated your pricing over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, like you understand, totally a journey. So let's see. My first experience pricing handyman work was actually for the roofing company I worked for. I like did some subcontracting for them while I was also working for them, and I think I bid it at like $20 an hour, and it was actually really good because I did it, and my boss in the roofing company actually like told me like, man, you gotta charge way more than that. Like you're not gonna make any money doing that. So that was good. So then I did a ton of research before I like really hardcore launched the business, and there was multiple resources. I don't think I found Alan. I don't think I found your stuff then, but there was a couple other people online that I found that I took some guidance from for pricing. And so, in my mind, pretty quickly after that first experience, I knew I needed to charge a lot more than that. So I think when I started the business, I had in my mind I need to be charging 70 to 80 an hour is what I was thinking. I remember I actually did some work for my dad, and he was like, "Just charge me like you would if you were like a handyman." And I'm like, okay, whatever. And I told him the price, and I was like, I kind of felt bad charging him that because I was like, seriously, like I'm your son, like you don't need to pay me to do this. He's like, no, like charge me like you would. So I did, and he's like, yeah, I could never afford you. And I remember I worked for a family friend, like a guy I knew growing up, and I charged him by the hour. I think I charged him 65 an hour, and that felt awkward. Like I felt like he was surprised because when I was a kid, he paid me $10 an hour.
Mm.
Um, so he never hired me again.
It's
But
funny. It's this whole subject of like the people, friends, family you grow up with, whenever you become of age, when you become a man, when you can become a business owner, like there's this disconnect
yeah,
of what they would expect. And it's kind of like off-putting in a way. And it's part of business. And it's kind of a hard thing to experience. But I think a lot of people experience that. And it's
yeah,
normal.
yeah, absolutely. And it's funny saying that now because we charge a lot more than that now, but we don't charge by the hour. So
Mhm.
uh, obviously, estimating I think is one of the hardest things that I had to learn, and I think that's pretty common. For the first few years in business, it was like some jobs I would bid really well, and some jobs I would bid really poorly, and it was just all over the place. Some jobs I'd make when I was bidding. I mean, I did a lot of hourly stuff at first, but when I was bidding, it's like some jobs I'd make 150 an hour, and some jobs I'd make 5 an hour, and it was just like there was just no consistency. And um, over the years, especially the last few years, I've gotten a lot better at that. Just really having 6 years of experience of doing jobs, you know, I've been able to work up a pretty good price list on all the things that are simple, repeatable. And then I know on all the bigger custom things, like this is the range I need to be in to make enough money. So um, I'd say I think every year our average technically hourly rate has gone up. First year I probably, even though I shot for 70 to 80, I probably was made 60-ish an hour billable rate. And it probably steadily increased each year. Last year we averaged 98, something like that, $98 an hour. Technically, again, we don't do any hourly work now, but looking at our jobs, we made $1,000 on this and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But this year so far, we're averaging about 130.
Great.
And like I said, we're busier than we've ever been. And I was really hesitant to increase my bidding strategies to get there. But man, it was funny though because like the 98 an hour that I said, I would look back at the jobs and it's like, okay, most of our jobs we actually are making 130 an hour. It's just the occasional big job that I totally blew it on.
Yeah.
Messed
Mhm.
with our rate,
$5 an hour rate really drags you down.
Yeah. And it's like I was looking through and it's like, man, these customers that we charged more to are like our happiest customers. And
Mhm.
and that's something I had to learn. Like there's totally a connection between how much I know I'm going to make on a job and how I mean, I always try to obviously do a great job and like make sure we clean up really well and be detail oriented with everything. But it's so much easier when you've bid appropriately to allow yourself time to do all of that. And it's not like you're just stressed because you underbid it.
Yeah.
Right.
Um, So tracking everything has just helped us be in a spot where now we bid everything. We don't do anything hourly, and realizing like that there's a lot of people that we can charge a premium rate to, but it's still a totally win-win situation where okay, we made what we need to, because there's a lot of expenses to be in business, and a lot of people obviously don't understand that, but it's expensive to run a business, and that's why you have to charge those rates. And also, like the guy that called me said, we are the handyman, like we are the guys in Loveland. So it's normal to charge that, and we can do that while still providing an excellent service and having customers that are blown away by our service and that say like, man, they were a really good deal. And it's cool to hear that, knowing like, okay, we made enough, they're happy, everybody's happy. And it's interesting how the sweet spot of that is at a higher technical hourly rate.
Yeah, that it is interesting about pricing too, because not only does it make you feel better, right, making more, and then like you actually do, like subconsciously you do a more high quality job with a better attitude, but having a higher rate also attracts a higher end client, So if someone hires you and you're $30 an hour, they're expecting work that's equivalent to $30 an hour handyman. But if someone hires you and they hire you at $135 an hour, well, then they're going to expect $135 worth of value, per hour. And so they're just a more higher end client that understands that the more you pay for something, the more value is attached to that, And so by and large, they're going to respect you more. They're going to be more likely to recommend you to their more high end friends. They're going to, they're going to appreciate the fact that you vacuum up after yourself because that's what they expect. They're going to appreciate that you wear booties when you enter their house because that's what they expect. So it changes the whole ball game across the board when you raise your prices. And it's the biggest struggles in your head because you're like, I don't know if I can charge that, I don't know if anyone will hire me,
Yep. Well, and so much of that is like, I always have to remind myself that I am not my ideal client.
Right.
Because I wouldn't pay myself to do this because I would do it, but like that's why I'm a handyman, is because I can do this stuff and not everyone can and not everyone will. So I'm like always having to remind myself, and I've gotten better over the years. I'm a lot more comfortable bidding things now than I was. But yeah, just reminding myself that I'm not my ideal client, and that's okay.
Yeah, we had a guest, I think it was Todd, that he had a mentor he was working with as a handyman, and he asked him his rate, and it was like 85 or whatever it was, 90. And Todd was like, I would never pay that. And the guy said, exactly. And never forget that. You are not your ideal client. Your ideal client would very happily pay that. I'm like a broken record with this one, but your ideal clients want to pay a premium rate for a premium service. They want to. So it is mostly a head thing. So right now you're about 130 an hour is kind of that bump that you did this year.
Yep, right around there.
Awesome.
Hey, quick break. If you are spending more time chasing invoices and doing paperwork than you are actually doing the actual physical work, I want to let you in on a little secret. We are working on a CRM built by handymen for handymen, and it launches this Labor Day. Go on over to handymanchampion.com to get on the early access list, and we'll make sure you get all of the details.
So let's see. We haven't covered yet. We got probably 10, 15 minutes here. So definitely want to cover like your estimating process. What does your estimates look like? Are you doing most of them virtual? Do you go on site? Do you have an on-site fee, estimate fee? And then if you could piggyback that with your top, your favorite jobs to get, high profit, enjoyable, whatever the reason, if you could just fill your calendar with 3 to 5 different kinds of jobs, what would they be? So if you don't mind walking us through those couple subjects there.
Yeah, sure. So estimating process, I'd say probably about 60% is virtual. People fill out a form on the website or call or whatever. And, if we need some pictures, that sort of thing, we'll do it. Most simple, repeatable stuff, light fixtures, TV mounts, garbage disposals, that sort of stuff. We'll just do all that stuff virtually. And I like that, it's nice for the smaller jobs to be able to do that. But really one of my favorite parts of the job is in-person consultations, meeting with customers. And I've had periods where I thought, man, it'd be nice to move everything to virtual. But as I've taken stock of what I enjoy in the business, I really enjoy meeting with the customers. And so probably about 40% is in-person consultation for more custom specific things. And some of those are ones that I probably could dig and get more information from them and do something virtually. But it's nice to meet the customer. It's nice to see who you're going to work for. And I have a lot of confidence in our business to where them seeing me and meeting face to face is going to win the job. And and then they can see the detail of the questions that I ask and making sure we're getting exactly what they want. So probably 40% in person. I don't charge a fee, which I know there's a lot of opinions on that. But I have so many good customers that wouldn't pay that fee, and I don't want to miss out on them. And like I said, I enjoy talking to people, so it's like it's
There's no right answer to that. And you hit on the main pros of the in-person is you're going to increase the conversion rate. You're going to increase the number of people you close the job on because you're able to have that conversation, that salesmanship. You get to actually see who you're working for in their house and make sure that's a good fit for you. And then 3 is, in my opinion, like the upsell. I forgot about this. Can you look at this while you're here? There's a lot of value in that you're going to miss out on, opportunity cost of just the virtual.
Yeah. So we don't charge for it, and obviously there's an understanding. I recognize that we won't win some of the jobs, but we win enough of the jobs, and we price things accordingly that obviously it covers it. So, so 60% virtual, 40% in person, and then I really try to be really timely with estimates. Same day, next day, when possible, virtual, especially like on the phone or whatever. I'll try to give it to them right away. I always get excited when someone calls and I'm able to give them a price right there and get them on the schedule right there. That's pretty cool.
Do you have set days or times for estimates, or is it kind of just like you just fit it in next day or whatever?
I've been kind of playing with that some lately. I've generally not had set days. Usually the most common time I look at a job is before I go out to my other jobs for the day. 8:30 in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, I'll look at jobs. And then sometimes in between jobs or later in the day, whatever. It's kind of all over the place. I've done a little bit of playing with just having an estimating day, and I might still switch to it. But the reason that I haven't fully done that yet is kind of my timeliness thing. Like I really like when someone calls me for me to say, okay, I can come tomorrow morning, as opposed to if my estimating day is Thursday and they call me Thursday afternoon or Friday morning and I want to come and look at the job instead of do a virtual one, I prefer not to lengthen the sales process. Yeah, but that's something that's kind of been ruminating in my head, and I've like played on my schedule a couple of times with doing it, but I haven't been very good at it because I'll like block out Thursday or Wednesday or whatever as my estimating day, but then people call me and I'm like, I don't want to wait till Thursday, so I don't even schedule them for Thursday anyways. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. It's kind of just in between.
Do you use any type of CRM or invoicing estimating software in your company?
Yeah, we use Field Pulse.
Field Pulse. Okay.
Yeah, love them. We've had them for probably 4 years. On this podcast, I haven't heard anyone else using it, and I don't know if a lot of handymen do. It's made for plumbers and electricians and whatnot, but obviously there's enough similarity. But yeah, we do our estimating, invoicing, scheduling, tracking time on jobs, all the stuff there.
What do you like? Have you tried any others, and what do you like about Field Pulse? Because like you said, I don't think we've had anyone on here before that has used Field Pulse. So what do you like about them?
Well, one of the things that when I first decided to get a CRM instead of just using whatever I was using before, I compared a couple of different options, and biggest thing for them was just their customer service was awesome. Like whenever I had a question or a problem, they would answer right away, or if there wasn't a solution for it, like they would work on a solution, and within a week it'd be like, okay, this is now a possibility.
That's great.
Because I think they might be a little more expensive than some of the other ones, but it's been so worth it for me. And just the seamlessness of the estimates to the scheduled job to the invoice. And I can't compare it to anything because I've never used anything else other than when I used Google Sheets and Google Calendar and all that. But I've just had such a great experience with them. I actually was on their podcast a couple years ago.
Great.
And they're just great. I just love them. And so I know not a lot of people do it. I do recommend them. Again, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like weirdly using it as a handyman business and it's not even made for a handyman business and maybe I'm missing out. But I mean, they've got price books in there. They've got a lot of integrations in there that we've been able to use, and I'm just so comfortable with it now. Really professional looking estimates. You can collect payments through it, all the things.
Yeah,
Nice.
I always say it comes down to something that you're happy with because
Yeah.
I've seen people switch from this platform to that platform to this platform, complain about this, complain about that. They like this, they like that. I think that when it comes to a CRM, a lot of it is preference and finding something that works for you, and then obviously the customer service is. It's nice when you get a smiley, friendly face that responds to problems and questions. So,
Yeah.
awesome. Glad that you've got a system that works for you, man. That's what's most important. I
Yep.
see people switch around all the time and to their own hindrance, probably at some point.
Yeah, and it's like I recognize there's probably issues with Field Pulse, but it's like I know what they are, so I'm so used to them that it's not a big deal.
Yeah, that's like so many software, right? Like you kind of
Yeah.
know the beast, right? Know how to
Yep.
work around the issues. I know, Alan, you've got yours. I've got mine. So man, thanks for walking through the estimate process. And yeah, there's no. We hope to film a video this year, hopefully within the next few months, as far as breaking down all the different ways to do an estimate. You know, like the in person. Is it free? Is it charged? Is it reimbursed back to the invoice? Is it only virtual? There's so many ways to do it and there's no right answer, but as long as you're paying attention to your numbers and you're operating profitably within your goals, I mean, that's what it's all about. What are your top like 3 to 5 handyman jobs? Or even if they're not handyman, like what is your bread and butter that if you could just stack them up all day, every day, whether they're profitable, whether you enjoy them, like what's your favorite handyman jobs?
Yeah, that is a really good question. Seems like a simple question, but it's a very hard question.
It's a simple man question.
It's a simple man question. I mean, the reason that I love being a handyman is because I don't like doing anything too much. So, the variety is just the spice of life. Um, so I'll try to answer it, but like really what I enjoy is doing all the things and not doing anything too much. That being said, simple as far as simple, quick, profitable, we could do this stuff all the time. TV mounting, light fixtures, ceiling fans, faucets, disposals, that sort of stuff. Just quick, take the old thing out, put the new thing in. We do a decent amount of those. The guy that works with me in the last, he said he feels like an electrician because the last like 3 weeks he's done almost nothing but light fixtures randomly, which is not normal, but we've been kind of on a kick doing that. So those sort of things we do a pretty good amount of, and pricing is very straightforward. We know how much to charge on all of them. Very easy to give them a price, get it scheduled, get it done. Very profitable, all that sort of stuff. I do really enjoy the satisfaction of kind of custom carpentry type stuff, like a bench seat thing in a mud room, like building something out like that.
You guys do sliding barn doors?
We do sliding barn doors.
Okay,
Yep.
those are a hit. I love those as like as a service.
Yeah, and that's a good one too. Yeah, because we can charge a pretty good amount for those, and they're pretty straightforward. We've got one of those coming up next week. So yeah, that's a good one that we could do that all the time, and I'd be happy with that. So I really like having an occasional kind of custom, really show our craftsmanship. And those are things that I feel like I always need to be involved with, even as we grow a little bit. Like those are the ones that I really want to be involved with and I enjoy doing. But I wouldn't enjoy doing those all the time because those are long days. Those are heavy labor compared to some of those smaller jobs. But if we can do one of those a month and then supplement it with those quick hitters, then that's kind of our ideal situation. And it's nice as a handyman because most of our stuff, I mean, we do a little bit of everything. Our average ticket last year was, I think, 850-ish. which would be one guy for a day or two guys for a half a day, little less than that. Yeah, maybe 3 hours or something for two guys. And so usually what it ends up looking like is, we do a lot of punch lists where the customer has 5 light fixtures, a disposal, a couple drywall patches, replacing some trim or painting some trim, that sort of thing. And so all those small things, we're usually just piecing those together to where it's pretty easily a $500,000 job replacing light fixtures and a few other things.
Cool. Yeah, I like what you said initially. I don't like really doing anything, but like in a positive way of like the joys of doing a lot of different stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. So Ty, what as we're closing up here, what parting advice would you have to prospective or new handyman business owners that might be listening to this? Like, what kind of advice would you have for them?
That's a good question. I guess first, like looking back to when I started, the cool thing about being a handyman is like you don't have to know all that much. There's so many resources available. If you have a basic skill and you're committed to doing a good job, like there's a lot of things you can learn. And so I wouldn't let, if you haven't been in the industry for years, I wouldn't let that stop you from starting something like this. There are things that we do now, like pre-hung exterior doors, that sort of thing. Like when I started the business, I wouldn't have touched that.
Right.
But now I can do doors all day long, and it's cool how much you learn. Like, again, just comparing 6 years ago Ty to now Ty, it's like I am an infinitely better handyman as far as skill set goes than I was then. But we still had happy customers then, and we still were able to help people. So I wouldn't let a lack of experience in the field stop somebody from starting. And then second, which is kind of the flip side of all of the things, running a business is hard work. Like that's just the nature of it. I'm 6 years in and I'm still choosing to do it. And, I've had times where I'm like, I don't know if it's worth it. And maybe I should give up and maybe I should just get a job. And I've had a lot of discussions with my wife about that sort of thing. And, but I've never done it, like it's hard and there's a lot of weight of the decisions and weight of doing a good job. And when you have employees, weight of having business for them. But man, like I still wouldn't do anything else, like it's a lot of work and it's hard work, but it's really fulfilling. And the coolest thing about what we do is like, we just really get to help people. When I wanted to be a physical therapist, like the reason was because I wanted to help people. And I was like, the only way to help people is by doing something in the medical field. But it's so not true. Like it is just really cool when you have customers that just count on you and rely on you. And so that makes all the hard work worth it. Like just being someone that people can count on and being someone that people can trust. And so it's hard work, but my experience says, and I'm still learning and still have a lot to figure out, but my experience says it's a worthwhile endeavor.
Awesome, man. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I love it connects with someone else shared with us like some similar guidance of like know your why. And I think from that I would say really important why is a desire to help and uplift people, because a desire for just like the business growth side of things, that's going to run dry at some point, but there's always room to help people.
Right. Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Ty, for taking the time out of your day, man, to share your story. I mean, this was an awesome conversation. This was like, I don't think we haven't had such an in-depth conversation on a story like yours. And again, I just want to commend you for like just your sharing your experience, the courage and the success that we think you're incredibly successful, man. And the honesty that you had to approach that situation, get through it. And here you are now at the crossroads, but so much more equipped and honest with yourself. And it's an amazing thing to see. So just keep up the great work. And thank you again for your spending some time with us.
Yeah, thank you. And last thing I'll add here, it's funny, because your podcast, it's called the Handyman Success Podcast. And I really multiple times my wife has said, like, I don't know if they want to interview me because like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but that's like, because I agree, like, obviously I have a successful business, but it doesn't mean that I totally have it figured out. And they're like, understand what the next year looks like, and I understand what the business is going to look like in the future. But like, it's really, like I said earlier, and it's just really awesome that we've always had enough. Like, the business has been able to provide for my family, and that's why I do it. One of the reasons why I do it. And like, it's okay that there's still things that I'm figuring out, and that's just normal, and that's going to be the case throughout my life. But I appreciate your kind words and what you said, and glad you consider the business a success. And it's cool to build something that works and provides for yourself. So yeah, thank you.
Definitely. And I think one thing for everyone listening is none of us have it figured out, and if someone does tell you that they got everything figured out, they're probably trying to sell you something, and they're not humble enough to realize that they're human and they don't have it all figured out, because we don't. We're all trying to figure out what the next best step is. There's some of us that are further along in the game than us, or than others, and that's great. But at the end of the day, we're all still just trying to carve our way through this thing called life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Since we're on the subject, I'll share my last thing is my opinion on success over 8 years. I think that success is being happy with what you have.
Yeah.
And Ty alluded to that, because there's always more and you can go down, but the mindset of being happy and content with what you have, but still mindful of the future. I think that's the key, because there's always more. But you can be content right now, and I think that's pretty successful.
Amen.
Amen.
Thanks again, Ty. Appreciate your time, brother.
Thank you.
All right, friends, that's a wrap of this episode of the Handyman Success Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us on your journey in building a thriving handyman business. We would love to hear your thoughts on this episode. Whether you learned something new or you're facing challenges that you're just not quite sure how to deal with, we would absolutely love to hear from you. We would love it if you would leave us a review, drop us a comment, or hit that like button telling us that you liked this episode. By doing this, you truly help and support us in creating more of these podcast episodes to help change the handyman industry to something amazing. And I want you to remember that you are not alone on this journey. Jason and I are here to help. If you need anything at all in regards to business or marketing, you can reach out to either Jason or I at handymansuccess.net. You can go over there right now and set up a free consultation call with either of us. We would absolutely love to talk with you. So thanks again for spending this time with us. And until next time, go out and be a blessing.